So greetings, it's Mike from LiveMyAssOff.com, back in Los Angeles. Now, here's the funny thing. Did any of you fly LAX? Can you see this in the video? All these, like, you know, the strings they have? I swear, every time I come, there's more. Actually, I think there's more further down, and then there's less. I don't know. It just seems kind of weird. Anyway, so when was I here last? 3 weeks ago. So it's good to be home. I'm now home for 2 months, which is going to be quite amazing, actually. And I'm going to hit the restroom. Actually, it's only going to take me like 2 minutes to get through, so I'll hit the restroom at baggage claim, grab the rental car, and then check in as I head back down to Coronado. It's good to be home. Very good to be home. Talk to you soon. Ciao. So greetings, what's going on? It's Mike from LiveMyAssOff.com, back in Coronado. And I'll tell you, it's been an amazing, 3 to 4 weeks? So it's been really cool. I was actually just catching up with my mom and dad regarding my trip over to Thailand and how that went, and the reality of my trip to Shanghai, which sadly wasn't much of a trip. It was more of just sort of a layover. But I'm really excited to go back to Shanghai, and I have a pretty cool story actually. So I'm driving back from LAX, and there's this guy there's this rest area on the 5 South, basically right around San Onofre, where I usually stop and go to the restroom, walk out, you know, kind of stretch my back, because while the drive home is not that bad, after sitting in a tube for 13 hours and then, you know, getting in a car and sitting back down, it's kind of nice to stretch my legs or whatever. So I was doing that, and it was the time of night. It was about probably 5 o'clock, maybe 6. So the sun was setting, and other people that get out at the rest area, they go over sort of to the, because it's like right on the coast. So people were taking pictures of sunsets and that sort of thing. And so I get up and I take a picture of sunset. I was going to send it to Gracie or whatever, or post it on Facebook and say, hey, it's good to be home, Southern California. And it was a little chilly at the time, but nonetheless, I was very grateful to be home and grateful to be able to experience the sunset with clear weather. So I take a picture. This guy walks up to me, and he had been further sort of towards the water, and he saw me taking a picture, and he says, "Hey, so go up on this sort of ridge. You get a," and he shows it to me on his phone, and I'm like, that's really cool. And I said, that's a heck of a lot nicer than where I just came from in Shanghai. It was like kind of rainy and definitely, you know, overcast and, you know, gray and that sort of thing, and a little chilly. And he goes, really? He says, I'm going to Shanghai on Tuesday, and I'll leave at about 1 in the morning. And I said, oh yeah, that's cool. I just got back. He's like, oh, so and so then we started talking. He's like, yeah, I'm going there for about 6 months to work. And I said, oh, so do you work here like 6 months and then there 6 months? And he's like, well, no, I just finished school up at University of Oregon, so I took some time off, and I'm doing my business here. I have a family business. And he said, and then the deal is that the government, basically expects us to sort of come back. So what I inferred from that is that he was Chinese. Great English, by the way, accent for sure, but his English was excellent. So he shared that, the government, I guess, I think what I inferred from what he was saying is that the government basically pays for his education over here as a foreign student, and then when he goes back, they expect you to work in the country for the amount of hours that you've been out. And it's totally fair, right? So it's a pretty good deal. So anyway, he's like, yeah, I'm going to go back. He said, I'm not going to, you can start your own business, but I'm going to continue on with my family business. And basically what his family has been doing for several years, they manufacture items for trade shows. And so if you've ever been to a trade show and you see like the display booths and that sort of thing, so that's something that he does. And so I was sharing with him how I said, well, that's interesting. I said, serendipitous that I would just meet you. I just get back from Shanghai, and one of the things that I do is I go to trade shows. And I was at a trade show, and I told him about the one that I was at in Detroit. It was put on by Alibaba. Jack Ma was there, and they were talking about how instead of getting products from China and bringing them over here to the U.S., making them in the U.S. and then shipping them over to China. And I said, what I got from that conference was the fact that, because I'm making these Boracay bags in China and then selling them here in the United States primarily as my market. They're selling in the Philippines and Thailand too, but more so the Philippines and Thailand, and definitely not much in the U.S. Or definitely not much in certainly nothing in China. I got no orders from China. And I said, so what I discovered is, like, instead of making my Boracay bags in China and having them shipped over here to the U.S. and then selling them that way, I would actually make more money and sell more items if I were to make them here, like in Culver City or something like that, California, at a higher cost, but then ship them back to China, and they would buy them there, because the middle class there, the larger numbers of middle class in China than there are numbers of people in the United States. And while the buying power per person isn't equal to that of the United States, the buying power overall is absolutely growing, increasing like crazy every year, every quarter. And he says, oh yeah, no, that's absolutely true. He says the factory we have where we made stuff and shipped it over here to the U.S., he said we've actually, we've had to decrease the number of staff we have because the individual labor charge for the person is increased. He said the good news is he said some of the stuff that we ship over, the average cost of something for our competitor would be about $30. We could sell ours for like $9.99. We ship them over in shipping containers. We don't do them individually. He says, but they're assembled by the person who buys them, by the consumer. He said, and so that still allows us to remain competitive, because if we had to assemble them there because of our labor costs and then put them in a shipping container and then get them over to the U.S., then we wouldn't be competitive. So it's interesting how, from his perspective, he was like, he didn't really have a pulse on the fact. He did, mention the fact that, oh yeah, me and all my friends, we buy everything on Taobao and Tmall and that sort of thing, and AliExpress if we're over here in the U.S. He says we basically shop the same way all you Americans do on Amazon. So it was reaffirming, but it was also interesting to talk to a guy whose name is Lee, and so now I have a buddy that I can call on when I'm in Shanghai. So that'll be cool. He's going to be over there for 6 months. I hope to get back there within the next 6 months. I do have a 10-year Chinese tourist visa, and I can go over there for 60 days at a time. So I don't anticipate myself being over there for 2 months at a shot. But absolutely, it made it a hell of a lot easier to go in and out of the airport with my Chinese tourist visa. So anyway, I just wanted to share that because it was sort of neat. Even though back here in the United States, one of the first new friends I make, quite frankly, is Lee from Shanghai. So that was pretty cool. Anyway, so I'm just chilling out, walking around Coronado this morning. And I got to go to the bank, deposit some money. Tomorrow I'm doing laundry today, basically. That I got back, the standard sort of chores. I go to dry cleaner and all that nonsense, this coming week, and then back to school, back to work this week. So anyway, it's Mike from Coronado, back from Shanghai, saying I hope you live in the dream, because if you're not living the dream, you're doing it wrong. Come on over to Coronado and chill out. It's a beautiful day.